Hello, I'm Stu Peters, and with your help I'm taking back the middle ground. With the Manx general election only a few days away now, this is the last in a series of videos and blogs that I've made explaining how I see the world and how we might together improve life on the Isle of Man, not just for you and me, but for everyone fortunate enough to call our island home. You've probably had all 5 manifestos through your letterbox by now, some more worded than others. Mine isn't full of vague promises or lists of things that the new government should do. I'm simply asking you to look at me as a reasonable and a responsible bloke, someone outside the tent of the Manx establishment, and decide whether you think that I've got the life experience, the skills, the honesty and the ability to represent your best interests over the next 5 years. I hope that the answer is yes. At the start of this campaign, I broke the constituency down into a number of areas and set a time limit for canvassing in each. I'll be honest with you, it's taken longer than I thought it would, so if I didn't get to knock on your front door, I can only apologise, but I'll make a special trip to see you if you get in touch. Let me use this final few minutes to address some of the questions that have come up on the doorstep. Number 1. You talk about common sense and accountability. That means nothing. Well, I disagree, obviously. I think that these things are crucial and will be the hardest to achieve. Government and their departments have had it too easy for too long. They've wasted tens of millions of pounds on buying their way out of mistakes, and nobody seems to have been held responsible. They've built cosy fiefdoms and bomb-proof silos, and let's face it, they're going to fight tooth and nail to protect them. It's been jobs for the boys, and some of the boys haven't been up to the jobs, and that has to change. I want a smaller, leaner executive with clearly defined objectives, not a blank chequebook. We can't afford to let the public sector pension liability, for example, keep rising by £1 billion a year. We can't keep paying world-class salaries for lacklustre performance. I can't change any of that on my own, but with the support of others, and it seems there are a number of good candidates this time who think the same way that I do, we can hopefully pull the island back from an abyss where the money runs out and the island's left bankrupt. Number 2 on the doorstep. You say you want to be a backbencher. How can you do any good at all from the backbenches? I think that the current government hasn't been challenged enough, but I do hope that the days of the one-party state by patronage might be coming to an end, and I want to play a part in achieving that. I won't just vote against everything on principle like the UK opposition does, but I will try to hold the executive, including the civil service, to account. And if I'm offered a position after a year or so, I'll only consider it if I think it'll speed up change for the better, without compromising my integrity. Number 3. You talk nonsense about climate change. Well, I get that we don't all agree about whether or not there's a climate emergency, and I'm certainly not here to change your mind about it. But answer me this. If you weren't being force-fed climate alarm stories every day in the mainstream media, would you even be aware the climate's changing? Or would you say, like we always used to say, oh, it's been a mild winter, or it's been a wet summer this year, and leave it at that? Whoever's right about the climate science, though, the Isle of Man taxpayer is going to be spending millions every year, tens of millions probably, on climate change. My job, if elected, will be to make sure that that money is spent wisely on practical schemes to help residents transition, and not on more civil servants producing more colourful and expensive reports that remind us all what a tree looks like. Number 4 on the doorstep. You're quick to criticise. How about some solutions? No candidate can answer all the problems that the new administration is going to have to face, including me. But I've talked in my blogs about ideas to boost tourism, for example, new legislation and a change in planning to create more affordable housing without destroying existing house prices. And I've suggested that we switch the emphasis of Nobles Hospital to becoming a fantastic general hospital with a world-class diagnostic service, rather than trying to be all things to all men and women. If we want things to change for the better, we need to vote for change and not for more of the same. Number 5, all candidates promise the earth but do nothing once elected. Well, here's a point of difference. I'll listen to anyone in the constituency if I'm elected, whether you voted for me or not. And if you have a problem, I'll try to resolve it or get someone in authority to address it. I'll also hold regular local meetings where we can talk informally as a group about issues, and I'll do video updates like this one to let you know what's going on from a middle perspective. And the final point, nobody's speaking up for people like us. That's what taking back the middle ground has been all about. Ordinary, decent, caring people like you and me feel drowned out by this new narcissistic culture of identity politics and self-appointed social justice warriors who won't allow the facts to get in their way. I'm all for free speech, but it must be for everyone and not just the shouty few. If you look at my Stu Peters for Middle Facebook page, there are links to my other videos and blogs there, which go into all sorts of important issues, and I hope that it's all enough to convince you to vote for me on the 23rd of September. You've got 2 votes, remember, so please make one of them for me. Thanks for watching.